started getting closer to the understanding. And then when I started interviewing people that had spontaneous remissions from diseases that were treating conventionally or unconventionally, staying the same, and all of a sudden got better. Once I studied and found the commonalities amongst these people, and it was really about the mind. It was really about breaking the habit of being themselves, their old self, and reinventing a new self. The other thing was that they, in their inward process of really deciding who they no longer wanted to be, like if I really could live my life again, and live again, how would I live differently? Do I really want to be an attorney? I hate my job. I don't want to be an attorney, I want to be an artist, right? So you see these people make the transition by choice to stop being one person and start being another person. And in their inward process of thinking about how they do want to think, how they do want to act, how they do want to feel in their new life, they had long moments where they lost track of space and time. Their inward experience became more real than their outer experience. And it caused me to spend a lot of time studying the frontal lobe, which is kind of the workshop of the brain. That's where we focus, where we have intention. So we have attentions, where we have free will. We restrain our behaviors, you know. And then when you feel unlimited, or you feel grateful, or you feel empowered, now you're teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. So the information is no longer in the brain. Now the information's in the body, right? So the person's embodying the truth of that philosophy. So this is kind of the journey, what we do. So then we're measuring what's taking place inwardly. Now, if you can go for 7 days and keep reproducing the experience neurologically and neurochemically, you're conditioning the mind and body to begin to work as one. And when the body now knows how to do it better than the mind, now it's, implicit, it's innate, it's automatic, it's easy, it's familiar. We've become that knowledge, right? And so the person's in a different state of being. So we have to go from philosopher to initiate to master, from knowledge to experience to wisdom, from mind to body to soul, from the thinking to doing to being, learning with your head, applying with your hands, knowing it by heart. And we discovered that it's the overcoming process that is the becoming process, because 95% of who we are, by the time we're in the middle of our life, are a set of memorized, hardwired attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions, the automatic and unconscious habits and behaviors and reflexive emotional responses. So it's that unlearning process, that 95% of being unconscious, getting conscious. And if a person's able to do that, if they're able to reconstruct and reinvent a new way of thinking, a new way of behaving, a new way of feeling, will it be reflected in their biology? And we've discovered that the majority of people that go through a week-long event, it's not like a small percentage, there's a community effect that's taking place. I'm curious, we see that the brain changes the most when you get beyond I can't, I'm too tired, I don't feel like it, I want to quit, this is too hard, I'll never make it. When you get beyond, like people who are curious, what's on the other side of that thought? They're stepping into the unknown. Mm-hmm. The person who says, oh my God, I want to be happy, why am I spending the majority of my day complaining? But complaining's not going to make me happy, it's going to make me unhappy. And then, oh my God, this emotion that I live by every day, emotions are just a chemical record of the past, right? A person feels frustration because of an experience that happens, or has a series of experiences that happen in their life. The stronger the emotion that we have to some experience in our life, the more altered we are inside of us. The disruption in our chemical continuity causes the brain to freeze a frame and take a snapshot, or a series of snapshots, and that's called the long-term memory. But it happens a few times, and then you review the event, you keep remembering the event. You're producing the same chemistry in the brain and body as if the event was occurring. And the body's so objective, it's the unconscious mind, that it does not know the difference between the real-life experience that's creating that emotion and the emotion that person's fabricating by memory alone. To the body, it's exactly the same. So the body's reliving the trauma 50 to 100 times a day. So it's a thought and a feeling, it's an image and an emotion, or a memory and emotion. It's a stimulus and response, and you're conditioning the body to become the mind of that emotion. And so now the body, the servant, is now the master. So the body has learned it, and it's automatic. And so you're sweeping your environment just to look for something to actually cause you to feel frustrated. So the hormones of stress become highly addictive. And it's entirely possible that people use the problems and conditions in their life to reaffirm their addiction to frustration, to reaffirm their addiction to that emotion. So they don't know they're doing that consciously, but they're becoming addicted to the life they don't even like. But when you turn on the stress response, and you can't turn it off, now you're headed for disease, because no organism can live in emergency mode for that extended period of time. Now, human beings, because of the size of the frontal lobe, we can turn on the stress response just by thought alone. So if you're forecasting some future worst case scenario based on the past, and you're actually imagining that future unfolding, your body as the objective mind begins to feel the emotion of that future before it happens. And now you're conditioning your body to become the mind of anxiety, the mind of fear, right? And again, thought and a feeling, image, emotion, stimulus, response. The body's being conditioned into fear. Okay, so now you say to that person, why are you this way? And they'll say, I am this way because of these events that have happened to me 10 years ago. What they're really saying is, I had an event that's changed me biologically, and I have not been able to change since. Okay, the amount of immunoglobulin A, which is a really important, natural flu shot for the body, went up 50% in the participants. So the body actually is believing it's living in an environment that's nurturing, right? The caveat behind this is that just like breaking any addiction, you're going to go through a lot of withdrawals because the body's going to be craving the chemical, right? So we've discovered, again, when the person is sitting in a meditation and they're coming up against their frustration, they're coming up against their resentment, they're coming up against their impatience, instead of saying, I can't meditate, I'm too busy to get on my cell phone, I have too many things to do. Nobody else in the herd or the flock or the tribe is already sitting, right? So the person, we're not asking them to white knuckle it. We're giving them something to do. We're teaching them how to lower the volume to that emotion, settle the body back down as the mind, and teach them what to do with that. So the act of doing that, breaking that, the inhibition process, breaking the stimulus and response, the body's craving 20 years or 10 years of frustration. So this takes an enormous amount of energy, an enormous amount of awareness to be able to free the body from the chains of the past. And yet, once you learn how to do it, it's tedious in the beginning. If the person truly can get beyond their addiction to that emotion, the absence of that emotional addiction is called joy. The side effect of that is there's a complete change in the body's physiology. That where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So we teach people then, if you can place your attention on your heart, slow your breathing down, you slow your brain waves down, and teach them how to work with their body and convert from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system and get their body in that state. It takes practice. It takes a lot of work. In the beginning, you're working with the animal, and the animal's juiced up and it's ready to go, and you got to teach it that the threat, the danger is over, and it's not very trusting in the beginning. So slow your breathing down, slow your brain waves down, convert over, put your attention on your heart, and let's practice feeling some heart-centered, some elevated emotions. If a person can sustain that state, we'll see their heart get very coherent. When it gets coherent, energy builds, and if they can sustain it, something really beautiful happens. It's almost like the heart informs the brain that the trauma is over, and it resets the baseline for the past event where the emotion is attached to. And we've seen this numerous times. It tells the amygdala it's over, like the trauma's over, and then all of a sudden the body resets and the brain resets, and the person all of a sudden, like grabbing a big sheet and going like this, they go right out of beta, high beta, and they go right into alpha, coherent alpha. And the heart's telling the brain, get creative. The other thing we discovered is that when you're pressed like that, we tend to overfocus, tend to narrow our focus on the cause of the problem. Like any of us who have been under stress know that, for the most part, you're obsessing. You're over-focused on something. And we discover that when you do that, you actually make your brain worse 100% of the time. Like, because you're analyzing your life within that disturbing emotion. That emotion is a record of the past, and you're driving it into higher and higher beta, right? So we thought, oh my God, what if we do the opposite? What if we go from this kind of narrow focus on everything physical, everything material, everything known, to broadening and opening our focus and putting it on nothing? In the act of sensing space, we discovered when you're sensing, you're not analyzing and you're not thinking. In the neocortex is the analytical mind. So as you're sensing space and you're no longer analyzing and thinking, you're no longer activating those different neurological networks in the brain. And all of a sudden, your brain goes from beta to alpha, but not any kind of alpha. Those different compartments of the brain that have been modulated and compartmentalized, they begin to unify, they begin to synchronize, and that's coherence. So now the brain starts getting more orderly and you start feeling more like yourself. So the breathing is a great way to get the body to convert from sympathetic to parasympathetic, but the open and the broadened focus and sensing nothing in space is actually what allows us to get beyond our analytical mind, and what separates our conscious mind from our subconscious mind is our analytical mind. Now you're opening the door and getting into the operating system where you can actually rewrite a program and rehearse a new script, right?